Senate will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, please call the roll.
Senators Bridges, Cook, Coram, Crowder, Danielson, Donovan, Finberg, Fields, Foote, Gardner, Janal, Gonzalez, Hanson, Hill, Heisey, Holbert, Lee, Lundeen, Marble, Moreno, Pedersen,
Excused.
Priola, Rankin, Rodriguez, Scott, Scott, Smallwood, Sonnenberg, Story, Tate, Todd, Williams, Winter, Woodward, Zenzinger. Mr. President.
Here. With 34 present, 0 absent, and 1 excused, we have a quorum. Members, will you please stand for the presentation of the colors? The colors this morning will be presented by Douglas Cadet Squadron at the Mustang Cadet Squadron of the Civil Air Patrol. The pledge this morning will be led by Cadet Airman First Class Allen.
Thank you so much. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much.
Members and guests, please help me thank those presenting the colors from the Douglas Cadet Squadron. Approval of the journal. Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the journal of Tuesday, February 18th, 2020 be dispensed with and the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Senate Services.
Correctly printed, Senate Bill 168, 169, 170, 171, 172, Senate Joint Memorial 2, correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 1697 and 140, correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bill 21 and 134, correctly enrolled, Senate Bill 11 and 34.
Committee reports.
February 18, 2020, Committee on Transportation and Energy, after consideration of merits, committee recommends following Senate Bill 167 be referred to the committee whole with a favorable recommendation.
Third reading of bills, consent calendar. Mr. Carpenter, please read the bills listed on the consent calendar.
Senate Bill 97 by Senator Holbert and Representative Van Winkle concerning the treatment of marijuana licensee-owned business that provides employment services to a commonly controlled marijuana business as a single employing unit.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of all the bills in the third reading of bills consent calendar, which just includes Senate Bill 97.
Is there any discussion on any of the bills on the third reading consent calendar? Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 097 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Gonzalez, Williams, Smallwood, Hill, Tate. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title. The third reading of bills. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Bill 093.
Senate Bill 93 by Senators Foot and Finberg and Representative Jackson concerning protections related to mandatory agreement provisions in connection therewith enacting the Consumer and Employee Dispute Resolution Fairness Act.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 93 lay over until tomorrow, February 20th.
The motion is to lay over Senate Bill 93 until 2:20. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 93 will be laid over until 2:20 and retain its place on the calendar. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Bill 016.
Senate Bill 16 by Senators Rankin and Fields and Representative Soper concerning amending the existing parent notification law to require notification of charges brought against public school employees relating to the provision of illegal substances to students.
Senator Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move Senate Bill 16, third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 016 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 016 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Crowder, Moreno, Cook, Tate, Priola, Quorum, Lundeen, Gardner, Hanson, Smallwood, Woodward, Marble, Todd, Zenzinger, Scott. Please add the President. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Bill 140.
Senate Bill 140 by Senator Holbert and Representative Melton concerning the types of conditions that may authorize a person to recover from the bond required as a condition to be licensed to sell vehicles with motors.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 140 on third reading and final passage. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 140 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Priola, Hansen, Donovan. Bridges. With 30 ayes, 4 no votes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 140 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Tate, Scott, Crowder, Cook, Marble, Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate proceed out of order to take up a moment of personal privilege for Senator Crowder.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege from the good senator from Alamosa. Senator Crowder.
Yes, Mr. President. Moment of personal privilege, please.
Granted.
Mr. President, what I'd like to do is, this is CAP Day, and I would like to read this tribute to them, if I could.
Proceed, Senator.
Colorado Senate convened in the second regular session of the 72nd General Assembly hereby extends our heartiest congratulations and commendation to Civil Air Patrol. Civil Air Patrol is a congressionally chartered auxiliary of the United States Air Force, and the Colorado wing of CAP has over 900 adult volunteers and nearly 1,000 cadet volunteers serving the state in air and ground search and rescue, cadet programs, and aerospace education. The Colorado wing has served the citizens of Colorado since 1942, assisting FEMA and the state and local agencies during the Colorado floods and wildfires in recent years. Members of the Colorado wing have refined radar analysis and cell phone forensics to greatly enhance search and rescue of downed aircraft and lost persons across the nation, and the Colorado wing stands ready to support citizens in emergency situations. CAP provides flight instructions to several cadets working to obtain their private pilot certificates, and the CAP's aerospace education program annually touches cadets and others in classrooms across Colorado, teaching multidisciplinary concepts that emphasize aviation connection to history, math, science, government, and economics. The Colorado Senate is proud to honor the Civil Air Patrol for excellence in search and rescue, disaster relief, homeland security, cadet training, and aerospace training. On request of Senator Larry Crowder, given this 19th day of February 2020, at the state capitol, signed Leroy M. Garcia, President of the Senate. Have a seat, please. I will talk briefly on this and then get out of the way, but I was going to have a little talk about this, but I run across downstairs, they had this very simple learn, lead, and serve cadet. And I thought it was really the best way to approach this. Do you want to fly? Do you want to honor and serve America? Then rise to the challenge of cadet membership in the United States Air Force Auxiliary, Civil Air Patrol. You'll find cadet life exciting if you enjoy flying, leadership training, obstacle courses, model rocketing, team building, hiking and camping, earn rank and awards, search and rescue, exploring aviation careers, and making friends. I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think that their biggest attribute they do is for the youth, how they build character in youth. Roughly 10% of those that go through the cadet training end up going into the military, which is quite an attribute to them. But I think the the idea of building citizenship in these young people is just amazing. I know they have duties of flight search and whatnot, and actually I used to fly for Civil Air Patrol way back, and you know, it is very rewarding situation when you can find a downed airplane in inclement weather. But I think that their biggest accomplishment is what they do for the youth of this country. You know, I think that anytime we can solidify and build citizenship within the young as well as future generations of military is quite an ordeal. But I would like to, you know, I think just commend them on and, you know, be proud of what you do. You know, I think I know some of the leadership in CAP, and it's amazing when you get to know somebody, and then after a while you learn about their records, how simply amazing some of the records of the leadership is in the CAP. I was amazed. With that said, I'll get out of the way and finish up in a minute, Mr. President.
Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request a moment of personal privilege, please.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I think sometimes we pat ourselves on the back down here when we're doing some of these alternative education ideas. We talk about apprenticeship models and pushing more on that. We've done that a lot in the last couple of years. While in the background, Civil Air Patrol has always been out there doing this. Civil Air Patrol has been out there mentoring students, providing opportunities for leadership outside of the classroom, pushing our students beyond where they naturally would go, building the confidence and the skill set that go together with the next generation of leaders in America. And I was working on Civil Air Patrol in Virginia, and one who was a Navy pilot, was now involved in Civil Air Patrol, at one point came up to me and said, "Owen, I think you should go to the Air Force Academy." And I looked at him and said, "Which one?" And he laughed and said, "Boy, you've got a lot to learn." And I still have a lot to learn, but it was through that process and through his mentorship where I left Virginia and came out here and joined the Air Force and fell in love with Colorado and a local gal. But Civil Air Patrol's personal influence in my life, I know, is replicated thousands of times over every single year. So thank you to the Civil Air Patrol for continuing to be that source of civic action and leadership and mentorship for the next generation of leaders in America.
Senator Marple.
Thank you, Mr. President. My family, my sons, and I, our relationship with the Civil Air Patrol is pretty up close and personal. It started about 20 years ago on April 30th, a very, very snowy day, sleeting in Fort Collins, but icing conditions over Rocky Mountain National Park. My son's father's plane was missing. We were notified on a Sunday that he didn't land. It was quite a shock to us, to say the least, that the possibility of losing their father was now a reality. Grids were flown over Rocky Mountain National Park for 5 days. And it was by the grace of God and the professionalism of the Civil Air Patrol that the wreckage was found. Helicopters flew in one spot. For some reason, they found one spot that a reader on the radar tapes had said, "Go check out Comanche Peak." So they did. Thursday evening, almost sundown, and they radioed back, "We're coming in for coffee." And that meant we found the wreckage. It was less than a miracle. They must have hit that mountainside going at least 300 miles an hour. It's my understanding that one of the engines flipped over and landed on the other side of Comanche Peak. The wreckage pieces were so small. I don't know how you did it. but you found and gave closure to my sons and my family. For that, I will forever be grateful, and I cannot thank you enough from all those other families who you did the same for, who you went out in a search and rescue and found and gave closure to those families who were wondering, where are they? Are they hurt? I'll never forget, that was the one thing that my sons were asking all the time. Well, what if he's still alive? What if he's up there? What if he's suffering? What if? Well, finding that wreckage, there was no more wondering, and we could begin the closure and the healing that all families deserve. A year and a half ago, I was very fortunate to go on a flight with the Civil Air Patrol, and I got to fly. I was in charge of all the controls. By the time we got done flying over my district, the pilot said, where do you want to go now? And I said, Comanche Peak. So he said, oh, that's odd. He said, I was in a search and rescue about 20 years ago, and we found a plane. And I said, that was my son's father. And we had a wonderful discussion about what had happened and some of the intricacies about that whole search and rescue operation. And I flew over and I took pictures, and I could see how it was a miracle that they found that wreckage. You see, their father hadn't filed a flight plan when he took off, and to land in Fort Collins, there was no flight plan. So the radar reader was there and just took a couple of wild guesses on what had happened with the weather patterns and the things that had transpired. So it was truly professionalism that came to find that wreckage, because as you know as well as I, so many of them are not found until by mistake, when somebody, some hiker, comes by and finds that. So for you, Civil Air Patrol, my family's heart and our love, and we honor you, and we cannot thank you enough for all you did for our family and for so many other families who are in the same situation. I can't thank you enough.
Senator Crowder.
Yes, Mr. President. I'd like to continue my moment of personal privilege by what I'd like to do is introduce the officers representing the Colorado wing of the Civil Air Patrol. If you would please stand, ladies and gentlemen, when I call your name. Lieutenant Colonel Buddy McCormick, Wing Vice Commander. Colonel Gary Toby. Lieutenant Colonel Tom Scheffel. Major Helen Gray. Captain Reed Lester. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your wing commanders, and I think it would be appropriate at this point in time to join me in applause and welcome them to the Capitol. One last word. I need to remind you that you are all honorary majors in the CAP, so be proud of your brethren over here. Mr. President, I want to thank you for your patience on this.
The Senate will stand in a brief recess to welcome our guests. General orders. The Senate will come back to order. General orders. Second reading of bills. Consent calendar. Senator Fields.
Good morning, Mr. President and colleagues. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The motion is adopted, and the Senate will resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and Senator Fields will take the chair.
To order, and the coat rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title of all the bills on general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar?
Senate Bill 155 by Senator Sonnenberg and Representative Pelton concerning the continued presumption of non-injury to water rights regarding the use of an exempt well for domestic purposes after the land on which the well is located has been divided into multiple parcels. Senate Bill 146 by Senator Priola and Representative Bockenfeld concerning modifications to the revised Uniform Unclaimed Property Act related to property held by a financial organization.
Majority Leader Finberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the adoption of all the bills on the consent calendar and their associated committee reports, which include Senate Bill 155 and Senate Bill 146, along with the Finance Committee report.
Is there any discussion on any of the committee reports on the consent calendar? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the committee reports on general order, second reading of bills, consent calendars. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee reports are adopted. Is there any discussion on any of the bills on the consent calendar? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills are adopted. Majority Leader Finberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the committee to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The committee report will rise and report. I guess.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, committee will legal reports that consideration following test bills being second reading. Makes following recommendation on Senate Bill 155, Senate Bill 146, and then pass second read order grows place account for the ring and final passage.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the report.
The motion is for the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 155, Senate Bill 146 as amended, passed on second reading, order engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. General order, second reading of bills. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the general order, second reading of bills, which includes Senate Bill 120 and Senate Bill 119, lay over until tomorrow, February 20th.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 120 and Senate Bill 119 will be laid over until 2/20/20 and retain its place on the calendar. Committee reports.
February 18, 2020, Committee on Finance. After consideration, Mayor's Committee is following. Senate Bill 118 be referred favorably. Committee on Appropriations. February 18, 2020, Committee on Finance. After consideration, Mayor's Committee is following. Senate Bill 19 be amended as follows. That submitted before Committee on Appropriations with a favorable recommendation. February 18, 2020, the Committee on Transportation and Energy has had a consideration of heading the following appointments. Recommends appointments be confirmed by members of the Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. Pursuant to CRS Section 346104, effective immediately for term expiring July 1st, 2020, Aaron Aileen Overturf, JD of Denver, Colorado, to serve as a member with formal substantial experience in environmental protection as Democrat appointed. Howard Lawrence Boyan, JD of Denver, Colorado, to serve as a member with substantial experience in the oil and gas industry, and as Democrat appointed Commissioner John August Messner of Gunnison, Colorado, to serve as a member representing local government as a member with the West Continental Divide as a Democrat appointed. Leanne Rochelle Jolin of Durango, Colorado, to serve as a member with formal training, substantial experience in public health as a member with the West of the Continental Divide and as an affiliated appointed. Mark David Hopkins of Broomfield, Colorado, to serve as a member with the technical expertise relevant to the issues considered by the Commission on formal training or substantial experience in soil conservation and reclaiming as a Republican appointed. Pamela Pride Eaton of Boulder, Colorado, to serve as a member with formal substantial experience in wildlife protection as a Democrat appointed. Brenda Ann Hahn of Grover, Colorado, to serve as a member actively engaged in agricultural royalty ownership and as an unaffiliated appointed.
Consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar. Will the clerk please read all of the appointments listed on the consent calendar?
Members of the Board of Trustees, Metropolitan State University, Denver, effective December 31st, 2019, for terms expiring December 31st, 2023. Michael Johnston of Denver, Colorado, as a Democrat appointed. Mario M. Carrera of Lone Tree, Colorado, serves as an unaffiliated appointed. Kristen Darlene Holtwist of Parker, Colorado, serves as an unaffiliated appointed. Members of the Board of Trustees for Western Colorado University, effective December 31st, 2019, for terms expiring December 31st, 2023. Pamela A. Shattuck of Greeley, Colorado, a Democrat, reappointed. Christian Blees of Colorado Springs, Colorado, unaffiliated, reappointed. Members of the Board of Trustees for Adams State University for term expiring December 31st, 2023. Michelle J. Luck of Inglewood, Colorado, a Democrat, reappointed for term expiring December 31st, 2021. Jonathan N. Marquez of Denver, Colorado, to fill the vacancy occasioned by the resignation of Kathleen J. Rogers Woods of Alamosa, Colorado, appointed.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of all the appointments on the consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar, which includes members of the Board of Trustees of Metropolitan State University of Denver, members of the Board of Trustees for Western Colorado University, and members of the Board of Trustees for Adams State University.
Is there any discussion? The motion is the confirmation of all the governor's appointments listed on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, all the appointments on the consent calendar are confirmed. Members, we've had a couple of birthdays over the long weekend, so if the Senate choir could convene at the well, we would especially like to sing a happy birthday to Senator Hill and Senator Moreno, who both just celebrated their birthday on Monday.
Where's our harmonizer? Oh, he's right there. Yeah. Lundeen, join us down here.
No.
He's our tenor.
No, you'll love this one. We've been rehearsing.
We've been practicing. Listen to this. There's going to be harmony involved in this. Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Face the camera. Where's your harmonic?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Senators Hill and Moreno. Happy birthday to you.
Bravo. Happy birthday.
Announcements. Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Colleagues, I'm proud and honored today to declare this Greeley Day at the Capitol. And I have a tribute to the city of Greeley. And I'd like to read this tribute. It says, the Colorado Senate convened in the second regular session of the 72nd General Assembly hereby extends heartiest congratulations and commendation to the city of Greeley. Established in 1870, the city of Greeley is a home rule municipality that is the county seat and the most populous municipality in Weld County. Greeley was the first municipality in the country to establish a Department of Culture, and along with Weld County, established a rich agricultural heritage that is among the top 10 agricultural producing counties in the nation today. Greeley has a reputation as a hub for education, leadership, and innovation. as home to the University of Northern Colorado, founded in 1889 as the State Normal School of Colorado, boasting a long history in teacher education, serving today as a research university, enrolling more than 12,000 students in 6 colleges. Greeley's reputation in educational excellence is further advanced by the strength of Ames Community College and its K-12 partner, Weld County School District 6. The City of Greeley celebrates 2020 as its 150th year as a city and is joined by several of its other Centennial community partners such as the Greeley Philharmonic Orchestra, Greeley Stampede, Greeley Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Greeley Tribune, to name a few, in marking the significance of this milestone. Congratulations to the City of Greeley on this first annual Greeley Day. On request of Senator John Cook, given this 19th day of February 2020, State Capitol, Denver, Colorado, signed Leroy M. Garcia, President of the Senate. Please welcome the City of Greeley. Thank you. And we're honored today to have one of the best mayors in the state, Mayor John Gates, the City of Greeley, and one of the best presidents of any college or university in the state, Andy Feinstein. And then we have the other city council members here. So please, when we're done, go up and welcome them. Thank you.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 announcements. First of all, the Senate Health and Human Services Committee will meet upon adjournment. That will be in 15 minutes once we are recessed. We're going to be in Senate Committee Room 357, and we're going to be hearing Senate Bill 163. And for members of the Capital Development Committee, we do not have a meeting tomorrow.
Senator Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Business, Labor, and Technology Committee, please listen up. Today we will meet at 1:30, and we are in the basement in 0109, room change. Please pay attention. 0109, we have 1055 and 1023. We'll see you at 1:30. Thank you.
Senator Heisey, followed by Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, Colorado Assisted Living Association has their legislative reception at CADA, which is 290 Spear Avenue, 5:30 to 7:30. So be there. Someday you're going to, your kids are probably going to be making decisions that may be good if you knew about what's waiting for you out there.
Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Judiciary Committee, attention please. We're moving our location today from our standard committee room for Judiciary to room 354. So Judiciary Committee will be in 354 today. Thank you.
Senator Foote.
Thank you, Mr. President. State Affairs, I have 2 announcements, one regarding location, the other is calendar. First of all, our location is going to be different. We are in LSBB this afternoon at 1:30, LSBB for State Affairs, as well as the calendar's been shuffled around a little bit. We will start with, at 1:30 in LSBB, we'll start with House Bill 1010, then House Bill 1051, Senate Bill 105, Senate Bill 15, and then House Bill 1156, House Bill 1036. So again, House Bill 1010, followed by House Bill 1051, followed by Senate Bill 105, Senate Bill 15, House Bill 1156, and then finally House Bill 1036. Thank you.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will hold off on reading anything across today, so I move the Senate adjourn until 9 a.m. tomorrow, Thursday, February 20th, 2020.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will stand in adjournment until 0900 hours on Thursday, February 20th, 2020.